All right. Hello and welcome to the Hip Stitch Academy Sewing Boss video. Today I have Heather, who owns Handcraft Workshop in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And she's obviously sitting here in her shop slash studio, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that to start.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Heather, and this is Handcraft Workshop. We are a fabric boutique and sewing studio, and we're located in Philadelphia, but outside of Center City. So we're kind of in the northwest, about 20 minutes outside of the city. So I have a studio space with 12 machines and 4 sergers, and a small fabric boutique where we sell cotton and steel and Free Spirit and a bunch of other great fabric companies that we have here, and notions and patterns and all kinds of good stuff.
Awesome. You mentioned cotton and steel first, which is like everybody's favorite. People go nuts for it, right?
They really do. And that's one of the first things that people, when they come in, first
Really?
they, what do you do here? And then they see the fabric, and then they're just amazed by the fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cotton and steel is really good stuff. So good.
Do you go to Quilt Market to
I went to one.
yeah.
It was in Pittsburgh, so I could drive there.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm buying such small quantities.
Yeah.
That I just meet with my reps. Where
Yeah.
if I see something, I'll email them and say, "Hey, hook me
Yeah.
up with this."
Yeah, I think that's what it seems like Quilt Market's sort of turning into. I've only been once, and it was a year ago, and and I don't even have the inventory near you, but I wanted to experience it, and I kind of went, and I was like, okay, I mean, it was awesome and it was fun, but I don't need to go again, because you're right. It's like you're buying something, you're meeting who you're buying it from, and you can figure out, even if you've not bought it before, you can figure out who to buy it from. So I think that's sort of the consensus, right?
Yeah. The one I went to in Pittsburgh, so I guess it was about 4 years ago. It was huge, but at the same time, it had a really weird kind of vibe to it because what I'm doing is a little different than what other quilt shops are doing because I don't really consider myself a quilt shop. So I kind of felt like uh, it was just like a bunch of women with like rolly carts going through the
I hear you 100%. And it felt very like they're just sort of buying to like hoard fabric. Like I don't know, it wasn't very business focused, I thought. I'm like, are these people really making money like doing like are they just here because they love fabric, which is nothing I'm nothing against that, but I would have liked to see it be a little more like how to help small business owners, I guess. I thought it would be more like that.
a couple of the schoolhouse, they call it, their workshops. And again, that was so they were more geared towards larger shops, quilt shops that had specialty fabrics. So I still felt kind of like out of the loop when I was there because it wasn't really addressing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when Cotton and Steel, that they did their first showing at that one. So all these things were starting to like come about at that point.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't feel any need to go to Quilt Market unless it's going to be somewhere really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not going.
Yeah, totally. And I went and it was a good chance to meet some people that I just sort of knew online, which was fantastic. But yeah, it's like we almost feel like we have to come up with something else that everyone will go to, and like so there's an excuse to sort of get together, but also have it be worthwhile for, I guess, for the teacher more, because it just seemed like their teaching end of it wasn't as robust as maybe the just selling fabric, which to me is, I think, a lot harder, or without the teaching part of it can be really challenging. I've just seen so many fabric stores and quilt stores go out of business because it's a lot, and you keep saying you have a small inventory, and I think that's a smart business move, because if you're just pouring all your money back into buying more supplies and fabric, that's got to be really hard.
Yeah. And that's something I have to really rein in sometimes.
Yeah.
How much fabric I'm buying, because I want it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just watching the interview that you did with, I think it was Laura in Hartford,
Uh-huh.
talking about how both of you don't really have an inventory. You have stuff there for your students, but not
Right.
having the retail. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. That's a really interesting idea, a model of doing it that way. Because in Philadelphia, unfortunately, there aren't many places to buy fabric.
Yeah.
You know, there are still a few shops around, and then there's the big box stores. But something like what we have here in cotton and steel and the other things that we have, there's no one around that's selling it.
Right.
Everyone's buying it online.
Right. And that's what I was just like, oh, but they're just going online. And especially with the quilt weight, they know what it feels like. It's just knowing what the colors are. And I guess the other part that I think, because I've had a store as well, I've had a retail store where we taught and sold some things as well. I felt like I had to be there so much more because people are like, oh, I, need to buy a yard of, blue, whatever. And they would be like, but you aren't open. And I'm like, do you know how much money you make from a yard of if it's slow, for me, it was just so slow that it was like, okay, I need to do something else because I can't be here all day and all night teaching.
Yeah, I just changed my hours recently.
Yeah.
So 3 days a week we open at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we open at 4, and then Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays we open at 11. But that's what I was finding, that I would be here all day and then exhausted, and then teaching a class at night, and then exhausted again. And again, if someone, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I'm here too, but I need you to buy more than thread.
Exactly.
So, and that's been a good change because I've been able to do
good for you
at home,
mm-hmm.
and scheduling and planning without being interrupted.
Yeah.
And then feeling like I'm not tied to being here all the time.
Very smart. Very smart. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your classes. Do you teach both kids and adults, or do you teach more adults and you do kids? What's your audience?
Our audience is very diverse. We have a great group of people who come here. So we have a bunch of kids classes. We just had a fabulous summer of summer camp. 10 weeks of summer camp. It was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. And then I have a bunch of adult classes, and that's from beginner to advanced. I have one part-time instructor, and then I have 3 contract guest teachers that come in to help out. So we, cover the gamut of classes.
Yeah.
But teaching kids how to sew is a lot of fun. And like 8. Sometimes I'll get some 6 and 7-year-olds, but 8 is usually the age where I'll start.
Uh-huh.
I feel like hand-eye coordination is pretty good by that point. The risk of injury is very low.
Yes.
And the other thing I love is the kids who come here want to be here.
Yeah.
It's not like they're being forced to sew. Which sounds
that's right. You said you were an elementary school teacher. So it's very different in that way, probably. I never did that.
Definitely, yeah. Everybody wants to be here. I mean, even the adults, like everybody wants to learn how to sew. So I have an audience that is ready to learn. Yeah.
You don't have to teach them math. Well, you do teach them a little math.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't have to teach them math anymore, which is
right. Yeah, totally. Okay, awesome.
What ages do you start your classes at?
Technically first grade. I feel like if they've got kindergarten under their belt, they can be there for a 3-hour summer camp. I don't suggest a first grader doing a full day summer camp. And then after school classes, it's about the same. If, once in a while we'll take a kindergartner. So, we're biting off, I think it's a little bit more, but at the same time, the classes are small, and we sort of, as long as you're lumping the first and second graders and maybe a kindergarten kind of together, they're all staying at the same thing. It gets hard when you've got a first grader and a fourth grader. And so we try not to mix that up because the skills are very different. But yeah, first grade is what I say. And then, some parents will push it and say, oh, they really, really want to start in kindergarten. And we'll see how it goes and maybe let a kindergartner in. So kind of young, but I don't know.
Yeah, I try not to say no to a child who like really wants to learn how to sew.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard.
it's like the future of sewing right there.
Right? That's right.
Yeah, I have a
Totally.
lot of parents who'll bring their children in, and I'm like, all right, don't tell me how old they are. They're ready. Just,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's, I don't want to dash their dreams.
No, totally. Um, okay, so you mentioned you have one part-time employee and then you have some contracted teachers. Are they people who maybe have books that kind of want to promote their book and they want to like that kind of teacher, or just people who teach at different places? What is that?
These are just friends that I
Oh,
know, people who live in the community who wanna teach.
yeah.
One of the women, Carol, who teaches my serger classes, when I first opened, she came in, introduced herself, and I had her teach me about my sergers, and then
Awesome.
that's how that got started. And then one of my neighbors, she teaches my quilting class. So yeah, it's really just friends and family and random people off the street.
Yeah, so you're not doing it all yourself, right?
No, I'm not doing it all myself, fortunately. And I also have a part-time person who does retail for me. So when I'm teaching on Saturdays or Sundays, there's someone here doing the retail side of things too. Because I used to try and do all of it, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's where, when I first started, that's where my husband came in. My husband, he did a lot of the retail.
Yep.
When I was teaching, or my mom was here helping me teach. So the first year and a half, it was mostly me teaching, my husband Andre doing the retail on the weekends, and then my mom would pop in every now and again. So now it's
Family
now
affair.
I have other people, so my husband can go back to his full-time job and work.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm assuming he has a full-time job and this isn't like, yeah.
He does, fortunately. And every now and again, my mom still pops in, but not as much as she used to.
Okay.
Which I miss her. I wish she was here more often. We had fun together. But yeah, I had Andre was here the other day helping me out, and we just put a new POS system in, and he had no idea. He was like, "How do you even work this?" He hadn't been here in that long of a period of time. That
Oh,
show him the new system. Yeah,
things had progressed beyond.
beyond me and my husband and my mom. Yes.
What do you use for your point of sale?
The new system I'm using is called Bend. So what's nice about it is I can integrate everything. So I can do my online retail, selling my classes, and my in-store all together.
Got it.
Something before everything was separate and then
Okay.
so this new system has been really helpful. Yeah.
Do you sell your fabric online and things that you sell in the store? Do you sell it online or?
I do, and right now it's just pickup only.
Yeah.
Shipping and delivery and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's convenient. So someone can go to your website and then just run in, pick up what they got, and run out.
And then they can see everything that we have in store too. So if they're already shopping online and they can check out with us, oh, maybe Heather has it, and then they can come here and pick it up from us instead of
shipping. Yes, and then you don't have to package everything up and do that.
Yeah, I haven't. That's part of the plan, but I haven't executed it yet because I don't know if I want to.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, just getting the new system up was a lot of work. We had to shut down for a couple days, do a full inventory. So we had to really, oh my gosh, we had to count every single last piece of fabric. So, but it's done, and the system works great. So I'm happy.
Good. So what did it look like when you went from being an elementary school teacher to then opening your business? Did you work part-time while you were starting? Did you just say, I'm done and like do your business? What did that look like?
It was the kind of a combination of both. So I decided to quit my full-time job and start working part-time. So I worked part-time and then I worked on my business plan part-time. And then I also taught. We have a couple different organizations in the area, so I would teach classes, sewing classes. And then I found a storefront. I did a pop-up, so I just kind of like put feelers out and just started getting myself out into the community. And then I went to our local community development corporation and talked to them about my idea, and they put me in touch with some lenders. And from there, I got a loan, and the storefront that I'm in, I had my eyes on for a couple years because it was vacant.
Oh.
Yeah, I really lucked out with this thing. So it all just kind of came together at the right time.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. Yeah, 4 years. We're celebrating 4 years in December.
Congrats. Okay. Are you going to have a party?
Oh, we have a party every year. Yeah.
Every year.
We have a great party every year. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Okay. So you talked about how your husband is involved a little bit with the business, not as much as how he used to. How do you kind of keep the work-life balance between, being an entrepreneur and probably working a lot, and then kind of keeping your life and personal life separate, or not?
I'm still working on.
Yeah.
I haven't really figured that out. Changing my retail hours has definitely helped.
Awesome.
But I still don't see my family that often because everyone's like today. What's today? Today's Thursday. So today I'm not working. I mean, I'm working behind the scenes, but I'm not physically in the shop today.
Yes.
But I still won't see anyone because everyone else is working or at school, wherever they are. So I haven't quite figured that part out yet. But do the best I can.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all. I think that's all you can do. I think, when you sign up to work for yourself, that's kind of how it is. And
It is, yeah, exactly.
And if you can get your family members and friends involved, then even better, because then you'll see them.
Exactly. Then I get to see them. Yeah. That's when people ask me, what are you doing? I said, well, you have to come here to see me.
Yeah.
This is where I always am.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about. I'm glad.
Right.
But there are times where I don't want to be here all day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. You get that sort of, I get a little guilty feeling of like, but I'm doing what I love and I work for myself, but oh man, like I need some time off. So yeah, you can be doing exactly what you want to do, and it's still work, it's still, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Well, when I started this, I had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, I hoped for the best, and so far what has happened has been great, but I certainly didn't expect the amount of work that I'd have to put in, maybe.
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks, oh, I sew all day. I rarely sew. I hardly have anything to sew. When I do get something done, I'm so proud of myself. I'm like, yes, I finally got that shirt done that's been sitting for 5 weeks, So, and that's the thing, most of my time is planning classes and working with the retail, figuring out the retail side of things.
Yeah.
Which I did not realize it was going to be as much as it was. Yeah. I mean, my whole goal was the teaching side of things.
Yeah.
The retail part has definitely taken on more of a role than I had thought originally.
That's good. Would you say that how's the breakup, or what's the breakdown of your sales, inventory and merchandise versus classes? Is there a percentage that you sort of see happening, or?
I would say classes are about 60%.
Okay.
And our retail and things are about 40% of what's going on. Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's a good mix.
It is good. And I mean, I'm fortunate that a majority of the students will purchase their materials from us.
Yeah. Well, you don't require it.
I don't require it.
I love it.
I don't think I could.
No.
I don't know if I could ever say that to somebody.
Well,
there are plenty of places that do.
Yeah.
I've never entered my mindset of you have to buy from me. But I do make it very clear that if you come to class with something that's not going to work, we're going to have a discussion about it.
Yes.
That has happened many times.
Of course, because that's something you learn when you learn how to sew, what works for what projects, and there are very clear things. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because one of our, I don't know that it's a competitor, but Mood Fabric in New York, they are doing so many free or really low priced classes, but then here's your long list of things you now have to purchase from us, which, that's their thing. They're a retail store, a very popular one. So it's always interesting to hear how people do that, and I love that you don't require it. But, at the same time, people are busy. Chances are they're not going to run out to some other store and then show up at your place and be like, okay, I have my fabric. So that's good.
It happens every now and again.
Yeah.
And we offer a discount if you purchase it from us too.
Oh, good.
Not only do I not require it, I also give you a discount. So
yeah.
It's win-win for everyone.
Totally.
The other thing, because just mentioning mood, I start a bus tour. We charter a bus once a year, and I bring everyone up to New York, and we go shopping in the garment district. Yeah.
You do a whole bus tour. Wow.
Busload of people. Yeah.
Oh, geez. That's a lot of planning. Let me know when you do that. I'll get a group together and we'll meet you.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Spend the morning in the garment district, and then we go down to Little Italy and have a late lunch and head home.
How fun.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Seriously, let me know and I'll get a group together. Because I've done, little garment district tours for a while, but it would be more, I think I'm burnt out on that myself because I take kids in the summer and I'm just sort of like, which is fabulous. They get so excited walking into, we always ended at Mood, and it's like, people are like, you think you're whatever. But it would be fun to meet another group and do it. So I'd love to meet you. So let me know.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Because you can show us some of the other places that we haven't gotten to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's a core shopping list that we have, but I'm sure there are other places that are maybe off the beaten track that we haven't gotten to yet. Yeah. That'll be fun.
I also read that you learned to sew as an adult, not as a kid. Yeah. What did that look like? Yeah.
So my mom sewed, my grandmother sewed, everyone
at some
point in time sewed. It wasn't a kid thing. It wasn't a kid activity.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever having any interest, but I was a crafty kid.
Yeah.
At the time, so before I became a teacher, I was a social worker. So I had a pretty stressful job and decided I needed a hobby. So I asked my mom to give me a machine. And
cool.
Started. Yeah, and I hated it.
Did you? Did you teach yourself how to sew?
I kind of did, yeah. I was so awful. I was horrible. Like the whole bobbin thing was just, yeah, I just couldn't get it. And I wanted to be perfect right away. That was the other thing. Like I wanted to be, like most people, I wanted to be really good at it right away. Yeah. But I stuck with it. And then Amy Butler, I discovered Amy Butler fabric, and then that was it. That was it. Mm-hmm. Then I couldn't stop.
Her 117 steps in how to make a bag. Yeah. I love Amy Butler too, but her patterns, I'm just like, oh my God.
That's true though, because I feel like I felt much more accomplished because every time I would make that same bag, but then I'd tweak it or I'd sew it a little bit differently and think, wait a minute, I don't have to do what she says. I can do it this way instead. And so that's kind of, then I had this bag making obsession.
Yes.
Because clothing, I was too afraid to make clothing at the time. And just within the past 5 years, I felt more comfortable with making and wearing things.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I couldn't find Amy Butler fabric anywhere. The local Joann's or Walmart didn't have it.
Wow.
So sourcing her fabric, I had to go elsewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what hooked me.
All right, cool. And I love that you taught yourself, because it's interesting to sort of, see the difference in, did you learn by going to fashion school or in kind of that whole thing, or did you just decide one day, I want to sew? And that's how I did it as well. So I was a little bit insecure when I first started because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then when I first started teaching, it was sort of this feeling of like, is this legit? Like, can I actually teach someone? But over the years you figure out it's just like, it is what it is. I think I wish I'd taken a couple classes in the beginning because I wouldn't have wanted to throw my sewing machine out the window because I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. But hey, we got through it and look at us. So.
Yeah, the throwing of the sewing machine, that was definitely something I felt often.
And I admire your serger. You're using your serger. I still sort of feel that way with my serger because I think I just have a really not a great serger. And it just seems like every time I sit down to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this and make it look all pretty and use my serger. By the time I've gotten everything like looking right, I could have sewn the stupid leggings by that. I'm like, I don't know. I am not a serger person, but hey, we've all got it.
Honestly, the serger, it's the right instructor.
Yeah.
And until I met Carol, who teaches our serger class, like I had no idea, and now I love everything on the serger.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of it. It's so much. To me, it's just so much faster. Like I feel much more confident. That's the thing. You definitely have to feel confident.
Yeah.
And I have a cover stitch too, which was like, oh my gosh, a cover stitch. I was so excited when I got that.
Do you have, is it like an industrial machine or is it just a home?
No, it's just a brother cover stitch. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe I need to come down and take a class from her because people are just, I'm never gonna teach serger classes, but so many times people are like, I just want a private lesson. I need to learn my serger. And the thought of an hour with I just feel like something could go wrong and we could spend the entire hour just me troubleshooting. Well, especially because it's someone who wants to bring in their serger, and so then you have to, and I can do that on a machine. I can figure it out really quickly and tell them how to use it. But I am not comfortable like that on the serger, and I just fear saying yes, so I just say no. But
no, I agree. That's why I don't teach the serger class.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point in time now, I probably could, but there's so many things that it does that I don't know about still.
Yeah.
That I feel much more comfortable having someone who really knows what
they're
doing. So I don't have to. Just one more thing, I don't have to feel like I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think that's the key to hiring people. It's like not being afraid to hire people who know more than you do, because that's going to only make your business better. And so as far as hiring people, what's your method of, it's just sort of, they find you and it works, or do you look for people?
It's kind of been just like that. Either people who've walked in, my other instructor, Heather, she came into one of my open sews when I first started, and we got to talking, and then we were following each other on Instagram, and I found a need that I needed to hire someone, and I put the word out, and she got in touch with me, and she's been with me over 2 years now, so it was just really organic that way. Eliza, who's my part-time retail person, she's one of my students, or was one of my students. So yeah, because it's such a niche that it really all depends. When I need someone, I'll put the word out, and then people contact me, and we go from there. But yeah, having people who know more than I do is very helpful.
Yeah.
Patrick does a class series for us called Freestyle Friday, where she is an expert at just looking at a piece of fabric, marking things, cutting, and then sewing. No pattern, which is something that I have absolutely no skill.
Clothing. She's doing that for clothing.
Doing that with clothing, yeah.
Wow. And she's teaching other people to do it.
Teaching other people how to do it. Yeah, it's spectacular.
Wow.
I'm just like, you know what? That's totally you. You do that. I like a pattern. I like direction.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Okay. All right. So I always like to kind of end it with like, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What's inspiring you lately?
Let's see. I just started listening to Love to Sew podcast.
Okay.
Which is by, oh my gosh.
Is it ZD and Mallory? No.
It's Helen and Catherine, maybe. One of the women owns Blackbird Fabrics.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, I think it's Catherine and Helen. And then the other one has a blog called Helen's Closet. That's a really good podcast. They've just had like maybe 5 or 6 episodes. Reading, I really don't read anything. So
Okay.
My Threads magazine every now and again, or Sew News. But yeah, I haven't read anything sewing related.
Do you sell books in this shop?
Don't.
No. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
I tried in the beginning.
Yeah, it's hard.
But we have a local bookstore, and with Amazon, it's just
yeah, totally.
I had to like pick my battle.
Okay.
The other podcast I'm listening to, it's not sewing related, but I love. It's called How to Be Amazing.
Okay.
With Michael Ian Black, and that is a fantastic podcast. He just talks to all these different people and how they got started in whatever business or that they're in. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. What am I listening to? Let's see. I love Dear Sugar, which is an advice podcast. It's my favorite podcast in the world. And business-wise, I love Marie Forleo. She's got her videos now on a podcast, which is really convenient. And I love lately the Gold Digger, which someone else had mentioned that they just started listening to that. And I discovered it while I was on vacation, and it's pretty good. She really, truly just kind of takes you through a lesson related to business. So I've learned a lot from that. So that's kind of what I'm listening to. What's the other one? Shoot. It's almost like a comedy. Oh, I can't remember. I'll write it. But it's really, really funny. She's anyway, I'm not describing it very well. My phone's not even handy. I could find it. So yeah, I got lots. Don't remember the details of any of them, but they're on my phone. Thank you so much. This has been really fun, and I love how close you are. We definitely should get together at some point. So yeah.
Thank you. I mean, this idea of yours is a fantastic idea. I love watching the videos of all the other entrepreneurs that you've talked to, and just like how we're all so connected, even though we're all so far away. It's been really nice. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for talking to me this morning.
Sure.
All right. I'll be in touch soon when it's up. It'll be up soon. I'll let you know. All righty?
Sounds good. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.